In what seems to have been a quiet couple of years for the heavyweight division, we finally have a show to get excited about with the fight card build, the Day of Reckoning. Taking place at the impressive Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, we have two former world champions topping the bill in Anthony Joshua and the bronze bomber Deontay Wilder. Joshua will be squaring off against Otto Wallin, while Deontay Wilder takes on former champion Joseph Parker.
What a magnificent card that we have.
The opening fight of the night is between the unbeaten Cuban heavyweight Frank Sanchez and New Zealand's Junior Farr. Frank Sanchez has steadily been stacking up wins in his attempt to climb up the rankings and position himself into title contention. In contrast, Junior is on a rebuild mission after losing two of his last three fights. One on unanimous decision to Joseph Parker, the other a TK loss to Lucas Brown. I can see this fight being competitive in the early rounds, but being decided in the mid-rounds. Ultimately, I see a TKO victory for Frank Sanchez. Next up we have Russia's Arslanbek Makhmudov against Germany's Ajit Kabayel. Both fighters are undefeated, with Makhmudov being the more active of the two. This should be an interesting fight, but I expect Makhmudov, with his superior size and strength, to come out on top. I predict a stoppage in the mid to late rounds. Up next on the card, Dmitry Bivol, one of boxing's pound for pound stars, is defending his WBA light heavyweight title against Manchester's Lyndon Arthur. I've enjoyed watching Lyndon Arthur over the past couple of years, picking up a good win against Anthony Yarde, but then looking a bit out of sorts in the rematch, ultimately losing by TKO in the early rounds. His rebuild since then has been impressive, picking up 4 consecutive victories. But this is a massive step up in class. I think Arthur will rise to the occasion and put in a good display, but Bivol will be too much on the night and step up the gas in the later rounds to stop Arthur. Next, Daniel Dubois is taking on Big Baby Miller in an interesting fight, with Dubois coming off the back of a TKO loss to Usyk. Dubois battled well until getting hurt in the 9th round and ultimately being counted out by the referee. For his opponent Big Baby Miller, this will be his first big show since a 2-year ban for failing VADA testing. Question marks surround Miller due to the quality of opposition he has faced. From my last video, opinions have been divided 50-50. This seems to me to be a crossroads fight for both fighters. I could see an early KO victory for Dubois. Dubois on paper should come out on top, but Miller will not be a pushover. This could end up one of the best fights on the card. In the co-main event, Deontay Wilder faces Joseph Parker. Wilder has fought just once since losing to Tyson Fury, with a knockout victory against Robert Helenius in 2022. In Joseph Parker, he faces a much tougher test. Joseph Parker is on a rebuild mission after losing by KO to Joe Joyce. He came back against Simon Keane early this year with a KO victory in the 3rd round. I'm looking forward to seeing how Parker approaches this fight. Will he use his boxing skills and get on his toes, or hold his feet and try to put it on Wilder? For me, I think Parker will be much better off to display a bit of both. Box him for the first half of the fight and try to push Wilder back in the second. With Deontay Wilder knocking down everyone he has fought, I think we can guarantee Parker touches the canvas. I believe Parker will put on a spirited effort, but Wilder will eventually stop him in the later rounds. Anthony Joshua continues his bid to become 3-time world champion when he comes face to face with Sweden's Otto Wallin. Joshua comes into the fight after back-to-back victories against Jermaine Franklin and Robert Helenius. Otto Wallin has racked up 6 straight victories since an impressive display against Tyson Fury. He will be a tough test for Joshua, who has been changing his style of late. Joshua boxing more than the combination puncher of his early days. Personally, I don't think Joshua gets enough credit for his boxing skills. The only time he looked second best was against the world-class operator Alexander Usyk. I believe Joshua will win by decision, though I wouldn't rule out a later stoppage. Back in 2018, after Joshua defeated Joseph Parker, negotiations for the Joshua-Wilder fight began. Deontay Wilder seemed as enthusiastic as Joshua, he took to Twitter conceding to home advantage if need be. Below the statement, he posted a video in which he stated, "There's no man I'm afraid of on this earth. I wasn't raised like that. I wasn't born like that. It wasn't applied in my heart." In response, Joshua tweeted a picture of himself wrapping his hand with the caption, "Getting ready to rumble." The fight looked destined to take place. Plans got derailed with Joshua's mandatory fight against Alexander Povetkin. It was expected the two would now face off at the end of the year. Deontay Wilder at this point agreed to a fight with Tyson Fury, and the future of Joshua Wilder looked grim. In 2019, the fight looked to be back on track. Deontay Wilder just needed to get past Dominic Breazeale and Joshua Big Baby Miller. Both were expected to win when Miller's boxing license was suspended for a failed drugs test. Mexican boxer Andy Ruiz Jr. took his place. In one of the biggest upsets in boxing, he defeated Joshua by TKO in round 7. Joshua had been on his feet, but his responses to the referee's questions were deemed insufficient, so the fight was stopped. 6 months later, Joshua retained his title, but just 2 months after that, Deontay Wilder lost his. This seemed the final nail in the coffin. Skip ahead to present day, it's now been reported the fight will finally take place. And although no titles are involved, Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder still holds as much interest as it ever did.